Today we're going to take off the EGR valve and cooler. First of all, we lift the engine cover off. Put that to one side. Now the EGR valve is here at the back, and this is a cooler as well. Now the easiest way to take this off is to take the whole unit off. You've got two pipes at the front, which is one here. These are your exhaust transfer pipes, one here with two bolts. You've got one at the back with two bolts. Then you've got your two water pipes which come out, and then you've got your two electrical connections. And then the rest is just a few bolts that hold your EGR valve onto the engine. Here's a closer look at the connections. You've got the exhaust transfer pipe here with two bolts, one at the top, one at the bottom, and you've got the exhaust transfer pipe here which has two bolts, top and bottom. Right, you have your water connections here and here. You have your electrical connections here, and there's one underneath at the back here, which will be easier to disconnect once you've taken the actual whole unit off. Right, this is your EGR valve, this is your cooler manifold, and this is your end valve here. These are your mounting points that mount it onto the engine, which is there, 10mm bolt, another 10mm bolt there, and I think that's an 8mm bolt on there, which is also holding your bracket, which I'll show you in a minute. These two under here, it may have two, it may not, depending if someone's had it off before, because some people leave these bolts out. But I did find that this had one bolt in it, which was an Allen key bolt. So be prepared for that, because if you try and put a normal socket on it, you'll be turning, you can't see it from the engine. So you've got to do it by feel. You've got to put a socket, little socket down and get it on there. But with that one, it was an Allen key, so therefore you put an Allen key in there. And that one may be the same. These are your two water pipes. This is your vacuum solenoid. And that's your EGR valve. That's your front connection that's got to come off. This is your rear connection that's got to come off. And this is your vacuum pipe that I'll show fits onto the vacuum hose on the engine. You really need to disconnect this connection here, this electrical connection, so that it makes it a lot easier to get into this bolt at the bottom, which is an Allen key bolt, and that's an Allen key bolt. And these two need to be undone here, which are 10mm bolts. Now going back to the engine. These are two water hoses, one there and one there. This bracket has to come off, which has two bolts onto the engine there and there. And it also has a bolt that fits on at the bottom, which is there, and that fits onto your manifold. This is your pipe for your vacuum that I showed you. It just pushes in there, doesn't need a clip. This is your rear electrical connector here. That's your rear one that fits for your EGR valve. And what you do is you slide a screwdriver down through and just press that release button there, and then you slide that off. These undo easily, they're not a problem, you can get at those two. And let's just see, oh yes, you need to put this bit in, which is another sensor here. That screws out. That has to be removed because you can't get your EGR manifold off with that in the way. So you take that out, you unplug it and take it out. Obviously don't turn it while you've got it plugged in, because it may break the wires here. This pipe also I took off because it makes it easier to get down there. So it's just a couple of clips, plastic clips. You just press them at the front and press them at the back, and that comes off. These are your two EGR valve tubes. The rear one, which has the two Allen keys in it, and this is the front one that bolts onto there, onto your manifold. What I found easier was to disconnect this EGR valve tube over on this side, which is another two bolts on that side. Remove the centre bolt, which is there. That's a 10mm. You can remove that with a ring span or whatever, and then that allows that tube to freely move around so that you can get your manifold, your EGR manifold and everything off easier, and then that just slides out, and that is basically it. And then you check your EGR valve, whatever you want to do to the manifold, clean it up, clean inside it, or replace it, whatever you're going to do, and then put it back on. It takes 40 minutes basically to get it off, and it should take about the same, or an hour to put it back on, whatever. If you haven't done one before, it may take you a couple of hours, I don't know. It depends how quick you work. And that is it. That's it, finished.